Hello, and today we're going to learn how to multiply things called binomials. Binomials are just, it's a term that we group together that's made up of two individual terms. You can actually see right here that there's two different binomials. The first one is x minus 4, because x and 4 are two different terms that are being grouped together. And the second one is x plus 5, because x and 5 are two different terms that are being grouped together by parentheses. And we're going to see what happens when we actually multiply these two things together, because these two parentheses next to each other imply that these two quantities are being multiplied. So those of you that remember the distribution property of multiplication, this is very similar. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to take the two different terms in this binomial, the x and the negative 4, and we're going to individually distribute into the second binomial, which is x plus 5. And I'll show you what happens. First, we're going to take this x and we're going to distribute it to this x through multiplication. Then we're going to take this x and distribute it to this 5 through multiplication. When that's done, when we're all done with that, we're going to take this negative 4, distribute it to the x again, and this negative 4 and distribute it to the 5 again. And we'll see what ends up happening, what's the result of that multiplication. Okay, so first we're going to multiply this x times this x, which gives us x squared. Okay, and then we're going to take this x and we're going to multiply it by this 5. Now, I'm actually doing this color coded. We're going to multiply this blue x by this red 5, so we're going to end up getting a purple term. X times 5 is 5x, so that's what our term ends up being. Alright, we're done with the x. Now we're going to distribute the negative 4. The negative 4, which is red, is being distributed to this x, which is blue, so again that's going to remain purple. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. And then lastly, we're going to distribute this negative 4 to this 5. It's 2 red, so the result's going to end up being red. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. And then our last step is just to combine any like terms that we have. The x squared can't combine with anything else because there's no other term that has an x squared in it, so it just remains x squared. The positive 5x and a negative 4x we can combine and get positive 1x, or just x. And then the negative 20 has no other constant term to combine with, so it just stays negative 20. So that's what we end up getting when we multiply these two binomials together. This is a quadratic in intercept form. We end up getting a quadratic in standard form. These two quadratics are equivalent. They're the same shape if you were to graph them out. They're just in different forms. And we're going to do it a couple more times just so you can get used to the process. So let's look at a different example. Again, we have two binomials. In this case, it's 2x plus 3, that quantity times the quantity x plus 4. So first, we're going to distribute the 2x to the x. That gives us 2x squared. Then we're going to distribute the 2x to the 4. That's a blue and a red, so that's going to create a purple for us. 2x times 4 is 8x. We're done distributing the 2x. Now it's a 3's turn. So 3 times x, again, that's going to give us a purple term, so that's going to be 3x. And then 3 times 4, 2 red, so it just stays red, is 12. Once again, we combine all of our like terms. 2x squared, there's no other x squared term to combine with, so that just stays 2x squared. The 8x and the 3x can combine to give us 11x. And then there's no other constant to combine with the 12, so it just stays 12. So our quadratic in kind of intercept form here, 2x plus 3 times the quantity x plus 4, now in expanded standard form, looks like this. Alright, so again, we're not changing the quadratic, we're not changing its shape, the way it opens, or anything like that. We're just changing the form that it's in. Right, let's do one more before we really start to look at what we're doing. Here we're going to multiply the binomial 3x minus 1 by the binomial 2x minus 5. Again, first step is to distribute this 3x to this 2x. That gives us 6x squared. We're going to start making the purple terms now. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. Okay. Negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. And negative 1 times negative 5 is positive 5. Let's clean up those common terms. So we have 6x squared that doesn't combine with anything, negative 17x, which is a combination of the negative 15 and the negative 2, and then plus 5 on the end. Okie dokie. Now let's see if there's kind of something happening here. In fact, we can kind of see here. The first two terms, the two blue terms, multiply to give me the first blue term in my expanded form, the ax squared part of my quadratic. And it's a combination, if you see these purple lines, of the outside terms and the inside terms multiplied together that give me my center term, my bx. And then lastly, the two last terms in each binomial multiply to give me the c value, the y-intercept of the standard form quadratic. So there's actually a pattern that happens when we multiply these two binomials together. The first two always multiply to give me my ax squared term. the last two always multiply to give you my C term. And then it's a combination of your outside terms inside each binomial and then your little inside terms in each binomial that give you the center term. Here, x times negative 2 would give me negative 2x, and then 4 times 3 would be 12x. So it's a combination of the negative 2x and the 12x that can be my center term, which would end up being 10x. So that just makes it a little bit quicker for us to expand this, to multiply this out together, because we know the first two terms will multiply to give me my first term, the last two terms will multiply to give me my last term, and then it's a combination of this purple outside and this purple inside that would end up giving me the center term. We've done it before where we actually wrote out negative 2x plus 12x. And notice in each case, we ended up adding them together. So negative 5x and negative 4x give me the 1x in the center. 8x and 3x added together gives me 11x in the center. Negative 15x and negative 2x give me the negative 17x in the center. So we could actually, make it a little bit easier and skip a step if we just understand that the middle term comes from these two outside, this product of the outside terms, and then the product of the inside terms being added together. So let's see if you got it. Put this on pause and try this using the pattern, because the pattern is actually going to help us do something later on down the road, that if we can get this, then we can do that. Alright? I'll give you a second to pause it and try it out. So here's what I would do. X times 2x is going to be 2x squared. Negative 7 times 5 is negative 35. So those are my bookends. And my center term is going to be made up of these two terms multiplied, and then added together. So 5x is the outside, negative 14x is the inside, and when I add those together, I'll end up getting negative 11x. So hopefully you got the pattern. This might make multiplying these two binomials a little bit faster. And again, this pattern is going to come in very handy when we start doing things called factoring standard form quadratics. Before we get there, let's just make sure we have this practiced. All right, that's it for today.